we are going to be weaving pumpkins. But before I get started, I wanted to share a little bit of information about the setup for this particular pattern. This is going to be using a summer-winter threading on 8 shafts. It's not the typical one, it's one I'm using. There's many different ways of treadling patterns to get a different look. The threading is basically similar, but if you want different designs, you're going to thread things a little bit differently. And I'll go into that shortly. But first of all, this is what the plan is to weave these pumpkins. And when I get started, we need to have at least 4 shuttles ready or changing the bobbins. Now what I've already done is I've used this beige and I've done basically the background. Then I used some of this, it looks kind of a silvery, but it's very light. It's going to be what I'm going to use as a tabby in between the pattern. And I already did the border. I'm going to have a border of green. Then I'm going to weave the pumpkin. We're going to go from bottom to top. And of course I have to have a little green at the top. So that's the basic setup for the loom. And I'm going to show you one other thing underneath the loom. And now we are underneath the loom. We have all the treadles attached, and they're all attached to the lamb. And this is a jack loom. So I have a stretchy cord. That black cord that you see there actually is like a very large rubber band. And I have it attached to the first shaft. And I'm going to come up here. We're going to take a little tour up here to see where it's at. And if you can see, I've attached it right there on the top of the shaft itself. Now the reason I do that is because, I don't know if you can see this or not, but almost the first and second shaft have lots and lots of heddles on them. And what I'm going to do is I treadle it, and sometimes when you're treadling a summer-winter pattern, the first shaft tends to float a little bit. So that's just my reason, and a little helpful hint for some of you. You might have to attach it somewhere else. Let's take a closer look as to why did I attach a rubber band to shaft number 1. In this particular threading, to make a tabby weave, you need to tie up 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there's also an 8. It just didn't show up on this particular printout. To make a tabby. That's because that's how the pattern is threaded. Right now what I did, I want to show you what happens if I disconnect that rubber band at the bottom. Well, right now I'm doing 1 and 2. That's exactly what I want. Let's see what happens when I do the other one. Well, it looks like number 1 came up. It's not supposed to. It's not tied up, but it floats. So number 1 is floating. If I didn't have that there, as you can see, the threads that stay on the bottom are all the ones that are on number 2. But right now, I want number 1 to stay down. Now, some people put weights, they do other kinds of things. I happen to find that this works pretty well for me, and I'm now going to attach it back again. And now the rubber band is attached, and let's see what happens. Okay, great. Perfect. 1 and 2, and now 3 through 8. Now, number 1 floats a little bit, but it's not going to get in the way. If you were doing a 4-shaft pattern, you would, for a tabby, the way you would thread it, you would be using 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You might want to check out a 4-shaft pattern. Maybe it might help you better understand how the block system works before you go on to the 8. It's just my suggestion. But again, that's why I use that for the tabby. And now we're going to go on and talk about the pattern. Now let's talk just briefly about summer-winter patterns. You can read a lot about this in books and probably find some other YouTube videos with more details. This is just, like I said, showing you what I have to do to get ready to weave these pumpkins. A summer-winter pattern is one of those block patterns, and you can see here we have, this is basically a block right here. We have 1, 3, 2, 3, and then we have 1, 4, 2, 4. We have the numbers here. So we have blocks of weaves, and what those blocks do, literally, when I'm weaving the pumpkin here, it's basically this little block here, because these are the tabby and these are the floats that go over that particular part of the warp. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start at the bottom of the pumpkin here, and I have it set up so it's going to lift exactly what I want it to lift. And again, this is basically a block. If you have just a 4-shaft loom, you could do a block, these blocks. However, for this pattern to get this large design, I need to use 8 shafts. So basically I'm repeating it. You can do a lot of other things with these. You could do maybe several of these in a row or several of these in a row, and you can do all kinds of things with the summer-winter pattern. Okay, now I'm going to get started and actually show you the weaving of the pumpkins. All right, I've already started. I put the first shuttle through. I'm going to go back and show you what I did. So what I'm doing is I'm lifting up the pattern, basically, and I take the shuttle across. But now what I have to do is in between every pattern, I need to do a tabby. And I'm going to go across like that. And because I like to do a little square pattern rather than just one by itself, I'm going to do another one. Now this pattern, it's suggested that you use floating selvages. I'm one that doesn't care for them, so I try to figure out other kinds of tricks and what to do. And then the next one, I'm going to do another set. It's going to get a little bit wider. And I'm going to go back again. Now, if you happen to take a look, if you notice that a lot of these are up. All of these are raised now. They were also raised when I'm doing this. So a lot of times, like I said, the first shaft might tend to float if you're not, if you don't have it weighed down. Now again, that was a trick earlier that I was showing you that I do. So I have that part done. Now I'm going to go and continue with a little bit wider part of the pumpkin. I'm going to keep on going. I'm actually just making sure that the tabby gets caught on the edge there. That's my trick, so I don't have to have floating selvages. But again, we all do our weaving the way that we're more comfortable with it. And I'm almost done with the main part of the pumpkin. One more to do for the center part. And now we're going to go back the other direction to do the top part, the curve. And like I said, I have this threading the way it is so I can do rows of pumpkins. I could set it up maybe if I just wanted to do a big, large pumpkin if I wanted to. It would take a while till I got to the end of that, but you can do different kinds of threading. And just a reminder, this pattern is available on my Etsy shop if you are interested in getting the pattern itself. This is where I have to see what I'm doing here. See? And we are now ready to, let's see, am I ready to change over here yet or not? This is where sometimes I'm looking at what I'm doing going, I'm not quite sure where I'm at, but I think I do know. All right, so right now, what I have to do is I have to cut off the orange because I'm finished with the orange color. And what I do is I tuck it in, kind of take it, wrap it around the edge, and pull it out through the back, because what I'll do is when I'm finished with this, oh, I just realized I put that in the wrong section there, didn't we? Oh, no, we're in the right section. Okay, so what I'm going to do, oh, I know what I did wrong. Okay, here's a good example. Isn't it great to see when someone's doing a demonstration and they make a mistake? So what I wanted to do is I did not want to do the tabby yet. What I want to do is I'm going to go back right now, take the tabby back out, because what I wanted to do is I want to wrap the orange thread around while I'm in the same shed for the top of the pumpkin. There we go. Now we will go back and do the tabby. And it is now time to switch to the green, because I'm doing the top part of the pumpkin. And this is where we switch over again. I'm tucking that in, having it kind of go toward the back a little bit. Then I'm going to do a tabby. And then another pattern. And then all I have is the very top part of the pumpkin. And now I'm going to go back and forth, tabby. And what I do is I wrap that around because I'm carrying this over. I know some people put their shuttles, maybe if they have someplace to rest them on the top, they do. Since it's only a couple of times that I'm carrying it, I just wrap it around. One more. And now I'm going to do the border. And this is where I'm on the same shed, so I have to kind of tuck this under, so otherwise if I just threw it the other way, it would continue and go through. We are now finished with the pattern. And I can, again, like you see, tuck it in, bring that through the other side. And now it's also time to finish or to continue with the background color. And this is my background color that I'm using. I took that tabby for the pattern through there. Now this is A2 cotton. What's in here I suggest 10-2. However, I found some really fine 20s too, and I'm using that for the pattern. It just happens to be what I have. I thought I'd give it a try, and I like the look. It kind of shrinks up a little bit nicer. And what I'll do is I will continue weaving until I get to the other end. And once I get to the other end, then I'll do the whole pattern in reverse. And now you can see this is all different color. This is because it's one of the warps that I dyed. And this one will be a transition one. So we'll have the white at one end, and as we get to the other end, it will be brown. And that's the demonstration on weaving pumpkins using summer-winter pattern, at least a row of them, one way. I'm sure there are many other ways of doing it. Just thought it'd be fun for this time of the year to share some pumpkins with you.